Video diary 6557. Why 6557? Because it was about 6,000 years ago, beginning of mankind, and then 5,000 years ago, beginning of civilization, and then also the religions, all the different offshoots of religions, and then all the different holy wars. And then it's been history ever since. So yeah, it's you'll see on the Jilly Juice, y'all. You will see on the Jilly Juice that whatever, not only physical manifestations, but psychological, intellectual issues that have been stuffed down, deep down from just everything in your childhood all the way to your teen years, to your 20s and 30s and 40s. That's going to come to surface and that's going to trigger the shit out of you, and you won't know where it comes from. You won't even know and the thing is, it could be something as innocent as what somebody says that would trigger you. And it's not even that person, it's just that what that person represents, or what you feel is whatever tiny, I would say, annoyance, because we all have people in our world that have certain annoying characteristics. I know I do. I'm sure I trigger the fuck out of a lot of people, and I wouldn't blame them for having issues with me. Okay, so that's the thing I said to you guys, with this energy in the environment, everything that you ever stuffed is going to be magnified, and it's going to come out at times where you just not even expect it. No different than a heart attack or a stroke. Nobody plans for a heart attack or stroke, but it just happens. Why? Because the energy in the atmosphere, and then all the conditions are right, and there you go. And so you kind of saw, if you've been following me the last week, you kind of saw the deluge of some of the psychological shit that I've been dealing with. And I'm pretty much on the other side of it, but it's just like, holy crap. It's like, holy crap. And the thing with the J juice is that it's not going to be destructive. Now, if you have a lot of really deep-seated issues and it comes out on the J juice, and there's a lot more stuff like psychedelic drugs and other psychotic episodes, that I would warn everyone around you, or I don't know. It's hard to say if someone on the J juice and they have that in their background, they're on major antidepressants. I would say you'd be kind of feeling stuff that it would remind you of why you went on these drugs to begin with. I can't tell you how it's going to come out, or what you're going to feel, or when it's going to come out. But you have to prepare for it. And that's why I say, look at your background when you're on the J juice. Not only your physical symptoms, but everything. But some things you don't even know, because you're not even aware that's an issue until it becomes an issue. You're not aware that that's something that you've always thought about your mom or your dad, or your friends and your family. You don't know what issues are, because you don't want to make people change or whatever. But every issue that you have with one person will be with everybody, because everyone has the same kind of characteristics. Everyone has very similar characteristics and similar ways of being. They just hide it better, or they have a different way of portraying it, but it's still the same. It comes from the same place. And so it's just one of those things where, so last night when I was dreaming, the last thing, just whatever came to my head, all this stuff, all the swirling of the biochemistry from this last week came out to be the desire to be understood. It was those desire to be those three words that most everybody has an issue with each other, is the fact that they are not understood by their friends, their family, or whatever. And that probably is the crux of most issues. And so even though you say you understand somebody else, you may not. You may not understand why they don't like you or why they like you. And so they have a desire to be understood, but for some reason it's not coming across. All right? And that's the same thing. So I think that's all of humanity's problem, is that they have a desire to be understood by each other, and we don't understand each other. And so that comes out. And that's felt by a lot of, that's felt. So the things from one to many and many to one, the whole thing with polytheism and monotheism, well, when I looked up the whole thing with Yahweh and everything, and back in antiquity, yeah, there was the polytheism, which is the Greek gods, which, yeah, they're real. They're not fake. It's not mythology. But why it went under one person? Because I think that was how they were able to rule. Monotheism is how you're able to rule under one. And I don't, if you want to now ask me what my religion is, if I were to pick a religion, I would say I'd be polytheistical. Because I know there's so many different gods out there. And they actually manifest in your biochemistry. You've been touched by so many different gods with so many different characteristics. Whether it's your adrenaline, whether it's your oxytocin, whether it's your, I don't know, your insulin. Okay, I'm thinking about all the different hormones. Just look up hormones, and those are the gifts from the gods, and that's what makes one person polytheistical. So I could see where they turned polytheism into monotheism, because really one person holds so many gifts of the gods, but some people bring up specific biochemistries, which is what the Olympians are. They are a conglomeration of one specific acid, one specific strength. Like Aries, Aphrodite, Zeus, or a couple of different strengths, Poseidon, Demeter. Okay, and so when you look up all the Greek gods and you look up what they are gods of, there's Hecate, god of good and evil, which is not just one. Hecate is good and evil, so that means that that's relative to your perception. Because what could be good to someone could be evil to somebody, and vice versa. And so I would say I'm polytheistical. I wouldn't say, I don't even want to worship myself. I would say, I know that I am a component of the universe. And so yeah, so now I kind of figured out, really, because when I say the gods, not God, because he was that one person with all this stuff, and that one person could have brought up like the human growth hormone, so their muscles are so big. Am I going to worship that one person? No, it's the gods. It's the conglomeration. It is the how all of that biochemistry is balanced out. So when I say the gods must be this, the gods must be that, it's because, yes, they have bestowed their gifts, just like Sleeping Beauty and the fairies, and then Maleficent, they were giving gifts to the child. Oh, there's so much truth and facts when you think about it in the Disney movies, that and then you're like, wow, everything's so occultic. Oh my God, Big Pharma is in control. Big Pharma is just a wing of the gods. That's what people say. They shouldn't be playing God. Dude, you've been bioengineered. We've been bioengineered to such an extent that we don't even know we've been bioengineered. And so when they want to do more bioengineering on us, we're like, oh my God, that's so horrible. No, it's just more innovation. Or you want to go back to the prototype of caveman and deteriorate and then become just like a baser level person, which I've known people to be that way. And I've known some very intelligent people. Everybody in my world is extremely intelligent. And I've known some very baser level people too, which I have no interest in hanging out with. Okay. And so yeah, so that's why I say the gods, because Big Pharma and the gods. Now, am I going to, like right now, I'm doing my book. I'm trying to just deal with my environment, which is very aggressive. It has a lot of activity and charged up electricity along with new variants of the viruses. So right now I'm not going to get the vaccine, but I'm going to get the vaccine when it comes out, because yes, it will do a programmed plug and play, of which, yes, there is search and destroy, and there's also agonist antibodies that my body will then determine how much my body is going to trigger that. Now, someone who is, hold on, Shiggy, I'm going to, hopefully this doesn't skip. I got to take her out. But someone who has issues with weaknesses in their body, mind, and spirit will have an issue with taking to that, and then that system will override, and potentially, yeah, the system of the vaccines may overtake your system, and who knows how that's going to interact. Come on, sugar. Come on. All right, so that's why J juice is so important. All right, I'm just gonna let her out. Oh. But anyways, come on, Shuggy. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Hold on. All right. All right. Whew, it's the light of day. So anyways, while I let her out here, because she has to pee. So anyways, so that's why you have to understand that you are made up of everything touched by the divine, everything. And all that shit's gonna come up, and you'll be spoken through your dreams. And even when you're talking about something that is very relevant to the situation. Like yesterday, I had a tiny earache for a second when I was talking about something. It was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing. So pain is when you are being touched by the gods. You're being allowed to live by the gods. And then what happens is then you're taking things to then suppress your divine potential. That's why big pharma can love you or hate you relative to how you use big pharma. Okay, you can use big pharma for innovation because you already are innovated, you already been bioengineered. But then some people that use big pharma to suppress their divinity. Okay, and so you have to understand how to use big pharma. And they are the good and evil. They are Hecate. Hecate. They are the good and evil in our society. But it's relative to how you use big pharma. And so if you can defy death from natural causes, you have passed all the tests on this earth. You deserve to be on this earth indefinitely. Hi, sugar. All right, come on. Let's go inside. Come on. So anyways, so this is my usual routine, is just taking her out, of course. Come on, Shiggy. Come on. But yeah, so that's the whole thing, is everyone has a desire to be understood. And when you feel you're not understood, even by the people that are close to you, it's one of those things where it's okay. Do I understand them? And that really comes down to it. It's not about people understanding you. Do you understand them? And when you understand them, then you don't need to have them understand you, because that's how people operate. It's a quid pro quo. So if I want people to understand me, then I have to understand them. And once you understand each other, no one has an issue. And so, yeah, so that's the ball's in my court. The ball's always been in my court. I just never really knew it. But you'll find out through the J juice that the ball has always been in your court. Always. Okay? You're going to show who you are to people. They're going to show who you are to them. And it's all acceptance. It's all acceptance. And then you do what you do. You do exactly what you do. And there's no enemy. There's no enemy anyways. We have so much crap in our biochemistry that sometimes we don't even know what reality is. We've been living in a virtual reality within the swirling godly type chemistry that we have in our body, that we've allowed certain gods to take over us. So that's why some people feel like they're possessed. So some people feel like they're possessed because, one of the gods took over their biochemistry, and that's the most prominent hormone that's at the surface. So so possession, in a lot of ways, it's like the gods. It's really a trip. Now that I see the connection between everything. Why? And then when someone dies and they're just a spirit, that's just all the godly gifts that were given, but that were most prominent at the time. And so if they were like a serial killer, that would be an evil spirit, which could then try to possess somebody, especially someone who is weak, who leaves those openings, who plays with black magic and plays with those types of occultic arts. And you don't want to leave openings. You don't want to have a Ouija board. You don't want to play with the spells. You don't want to mess with that shit, because there are spirits out there. You can call them demons. Okay, and yeah, I mean, if you look at Greek mythology and look at all the centaurs, all the different characters of Greek mythology, yeah, that's where the whole satanic stuff came from. Then it makes sense. And then why you see the word Corinthians, which is very, very Greek, and that's in the Bible. Titans are in the Bible. Pleiades is in the Bible. Greek mythology is everywhere. And so there's nothing satanic. It's just people knowing how to exploit other people for their gifts. And so and the satanic thing is just a film. It's just a cover to redirect you away from bringing it all together. There's nothing satanic in this world. There's just people that are doing things that people allow them to do. And yeah, you can't stop human trafficking. You can't stop people trying to sacrifice each other. The only thing you could stop it is in your world. And even your friends and family, they're going to still put themselves in positions that maybe you wouldn't. And that's their own choices. You can't stop that. You just got to warn everyone, be aware, be on your mark, get set, go. But yeah, just the world out there is pretty crazy. And we have about 7 billion people kind of glitching over this overly charged atmosphere. And so, yeah, so so you see that I came out of my own healing process pretty much okay. I had to work through it. You saw how much work I had to do. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Oh my God. That was the thick of it. And you're going to have to deal with it too. Some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to sex. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to other distractions so they don't have to deal with something that comes up for them when they're triggered by a person, place, or thing. Okay? That's what I don't want you guys to do, is to turn to things to suppress it. I want you to face it. And I faced it. Oh, it was horrible. But I faced it. And I brought up a lot of stuff about women because it's so true. That was one of the major issues I suppressed deep down inside, is my issues with women. And it does stem from the mother. And so that's why everything came out about mothers and babies and why do we have kids and all of that. And I question that. Because what are we bringing into this world, and what are we creating, and what is our mission with our kids? And yeah, people can take offense to it, but you wonder why it is that people do the things they do. I asked that question a long time ago. Why do people do the things they do? Well, now I know why. Biochemistry, wanting to play the game. We are run by so much programming, and it's reinforced by our community. Some people break free and they're the black sheep of the family. Other people don't. And then, they're enslaved. They like it. It's okay. It's what's accepted. That fits within what they're used to anyways. So it works for them until it doesn't. And then when they want to escape their life, they go and escape their life. Why are you escaping your life? Because maybe that's not what they really wanted to do, but that's what they were taught to do. And so what if you didn't have to go and escape your life? And that's my whole thing, is why not face every aspect of your life where you don't feel like you have to escape it? I like vacations like anybody else. But you just... I've lived where people vacation. I've lived in Hawaii. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in California. I lived in Arizona. Lived in Mississippi. The redneck Riviera of Mississippi. The Biloxi, the Gulf Coast. I live in Ohio, which is really not a vacation spot. And really, just a vacation is just a place where you go and think that you can do anything you want and to escape from your real life, when really it isn't. It's just another place that you bring yourself that has food, water, people, a building, and maybe a few things that are kind of interesting. Like when I went to China, it was interesting when I went to China. It wasn't a vacation, it was an experience. It was a cultural education. It was not a vacation. Okay. If you can't relax at home, what makes you think you can relax over there? Yeah, you can go swim in the warm waters. I've swum in very warm waters of Panama, Florida, Panama, Panama City, that's Florida, Hawaii. But really, if you're going to go someplace, make it cultural, make it an education, and then relax at home and still work and still have your family and your friends and all the things. Don't try to escape your life. And that's the thing, is that's what I want to give people is where you don't feel imprisoned by expectation. But that's the culture that some people choose to have, and some people choose to break free. And that's the desire to be understood, is that I am trying to offer something totally different. But it has to be changed through your biochemistry, because there are programs out there, like seminar series programs, that offer the same thing of what Jilly Juice is saying as far as just theoretically the concepts, but they don't do it biochemically. So you can give somebody words, and you can give somebody ways to face their demons through words and through specific exercises, vignettes, and things of that nature. But when you have biochemistry that actually is controlling your reality, that tools and technology wears off. The concepts are still there, but the behavior is not going to change so much, because your biochemistry is still going to control you. You're still being controlled by certain gods that are very prominent and prevalent. And that's why they say, in some of these seminar series programs, that if you are under a doctor's care or under psychological care, that this program might trigger you and might do irreparable harm, because some people have a lot of stuff they have to deal with. And so to trigger somebody without supporting them correctly biochemically with food or with drugs based upon their psychological issues and who they're under the care with, it could be pretty horrible. So that's why some seminar series have that caveat. If you're under a doctor's care, then make sure your doctor knows that you are taking part in this seminar series program. And that is the Landmark Education Program. The Forum, the Advanced Course. It was the EST program back in the 70s. And I love Landmark Education. They deal with more of the changing of the mind, but they haven't figured out the body. They only figure out how to change the mind, but not even the spirit. So they're trying to intellectualize change in a body that can't handle it. And you're going to find that with therapy. You're going to find that and that's what some of the therapy is with the psychology. And then when you're going to get stuff tweaked, they try to combine where you're going for chemotherapy or something, and then you go and talk to a counselor to deal with that situation of going for chemotherapy, going for radiation, or taking your Prozac or something. So they try to meet that body, mind, and spirit, but that's because they're suppressing and they're trying to redirect the biochemistry that now is going to be brought to surface to then direct you to be more of a complacent, easily amenable person of our society, not so triggered. Because some people have been through some trauma that they can't control, and so then they have to go and get rehabilitated, and then they have to get mind fucked. And so then there are seminar series for people who are relatively healthy, that are not under a doctor's care. They have issues, yes. They have blockages with their careers or with family or friends or relationships, and they want to find a way to break free and have a more rewarding life because they're plagued by stuff from the past. And so they go take part into these seminar series, and then they intellectualize the crap out of everything, and you'll feel amazing. I did. It was that crowd action. It was the tools and technology. It gave me a different way of looking at everybody and my parents and all that. But then your biochemistry is still with you. They haven't changed the biochemistry. You still have the intellectual tools and technology, but when your biochemistry is so strong, the tools and technology that you learned through your intellect is not aligning. And so that's why the J juice is so important. That's why Bridget did the form in the advanced course. I did it back in the 90s. And that's a good foundation. That's a good foundation. Okay? But it's not everything. Really, what is going to change is changing your biochemistry to where you get rid of those triggers that not only trigger cancer, disease, and chronic illness and all the different hormonal imbalances, but also get rid of the triggers of trauma. Okay? So, but yeah, the desire to be understood, and from many to one and from one to many, yeah, that's why they went. I mean, that's why I could see why they went from polytheism to monotheism, because why worship so many gods? How can you mention every single god? So if you mention just one, a monotheistic, one person represents everything, like a Jesus or like a Messiah or like Yahweh, then, but how do you know if that person or that thing is a balanced entity with balanced biochemistry? You could have like 1,000 gods in you, which is all the different biochemistry representing how everything is working. That's what hormones are. And that's why I say the spirit is your hormones. I knew this a long time ago. The spirit is your hormones. So are the Greek gods. And they do speak to you in your dreams. And maybe they do make themselves known out there if all the conditions are right. Though I've never seen it. But I've seen some really weird stuff in my dreams. And then something happens in my life that is just like, whoa, there's a connection. There's a freaking obvious connection. And that can't be ignored. But no, I'm not going to see an angel out there floating, If I do, then holy crap. So will everybody else. And then who knows? We'll turn into another Fatima, right? Another pilgrimage site for who knows what. But I just want you guys to understand that, yeah, we have to understand antiquity and history and the Greek gods and the 12 Olympians and then the whole thing with the Illuminati, all the same stuff. Jewish religion and Greek mythology, Greek history is actually very, very conjoined and combined. So is the Bible. That's when you bring everything all together. It's not just compartmentalized of, oh yeah, Greek mythology and Greek history, and then, oh yeah, Judaism, and then, oh yeah, Christianity, and oh yeah, Catholicism, and oh yeah, Jehovah's Witness. No, they're all actually one big ball of stuff where people have perceptions on history or on, what was originally written way back when. And so, yeah, the Catholic Church knows a lot about this stuff. So do the Freemasons. And so do high levels of government know a lot of this stuff. And now you will know pretty much, you will know it. But you have to be able to be open to it biochemically as well as intellectually. And that does take some work. That does take getting out of your own way. That does take getting away from the distractions. That takes a higher form of intelligence when you can actually examine the world that you live in, not from the purview of your biochemistry given to you by people in your community, that because you decided to change your biochemistry, to change the way you perceive the world, so you understand the world much better, and then you can actually have a different outcome. Not wondering, oh God, when are my predispositions are going to kick in? That's the kind of, I don't like that kind of waiting game for people. I want humans to have control over their life and their body and their biochemistry. So that's all I have to say, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that, yeah, you can come out of your healing process and be okay without tearing down the house too much. That, yeah, it's you're going to have episodes that it's going to be difficult for people around you to understand. I think I only had 2 episodes around my husband. Once a long time ago. Actually, no, 3. I've had 3 episodes around my husband. And he's taken it pretty well. And it was just that my own shit coming to surface. Some from my childhood, some from just stuff. From what we went through as far as our marriage and stuff. And then it passes. Life goes on. Life moves on. People probably think I'm weird as hell. People probably think I'm weird as hell, but I don't care at this point. This is my healing process. Love me or hate me, doesn't even matter at this point. What matters is that you guys get well. What matters is I get well. And then every other trigger that what would be a trigger is gone. And then you're just chill. And my dog slept really good last night. She did. She didn't even get up in the middle of the night to go pee. Her and I slept really well. She's such a good dog. All right, you guys have a good day, okay? Thanks for listening. Bye.